What's good, gang? Thank y'all for tuning in, being there. Charlie, man, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for me today. I got a special guest, my beautiful and amazing wife. The author of Free Me and Kazi and the Butterfly. She got some advice that she want to give everybody out there today. Today, we got some more drastic news, man. Our post son, a paparazzi poll, and billionaire black that went to California to pull up on Tato for disrespecting FBG Duck. We all know that tragedy that just happened with him being shot down in Chicago, man. A young guy, they say he's 27 years old, have children, and his mom just lost two sons in Chicago, man. This is a very, very tragic thing, man. We need y'all to go down there in the description box right now and pick up my wife's book and come join us at our store. We got some amazing merchandise, man. But I seen the news today about paparazzi Poe and being there, black going to California to pull up on Tato for disrespecting FBG Duck, man. I think it's a very, very sad thing when people keep dissing on the dead. I think it's a curse for people to do stuff like that. You know what I mean? They put on people's life when people do these diss songs talking about they smoking on somebody. I think we need to build up as a culture and get away from that type of mentality, man. Because if we talking Black Lives Matter and we trying to change the culture of the other cultures killing us and doing us wrong, we have to start with our own homes and begin to just build together, man. Because when I seen the negativity that was coming from them to actually go to another state and pull up on a guy that's talking about he's smoking on FBG Duck, the man just passed away, man. We got to change the culture. But I'm gonna ask my wife, man, what you feel about these things like this in the community?
I personally feel like we out there, we're trying to make a stand, we're trying to take a stand, we're trying to be heard and our voices to be heard and for people to understand that Black Lives Matter. But Black lives are not going to matter, number one, until they matter to Black people, until we come together as a culture and say that we have to stop the violence that's happening in the streets and making it, a public. I don't know. I sometimes I see it in some, it almost seems like it's being celebrated for different people to say, "Oh, I'm about to go do this," or "I'm gonna get this person." And depending on where you come from or what sex you claim, that's the norm. It needs to not be the norm anymore. We need to break that cycle. We need to see things change. It's really sad. I was looking on the news myself, and I saw how the 9-year-old boy was shot and killed, and how the two kids were killed in Chicago. In the drive-by shootings. When is this gonna end? Like that, it has to stop. We have to become so disgusted with it that we get into these communities and we start advocating for these people to understand that this has to stop. This has to stop. It has to end. And one thing about it, I was even looking at one of my social media platforms. People enjoy pushing the negative, connotations. They enjoy just, exploiting all of the wrong that's going on in the world. And yes, there's some good things going on, but we need to do more. We need to take a stand and we need to do something when it comes to all of these different killings because it's just too much. I believe that we are already battling so many different demons, so many different things going on in the world, and oh, and as we look at the situations, I think that people have to begin to take it, just take inventory of what's going on. Because we sit here and we talk about people losing their lives, but people are losing their lives every day. And what are the things that we can control? We can control how we deal with our environments, how we, teach our kids to be different. That's something that we can do. And then when it comes to protesting, yes, protesting is very important, but we also need to be making people aware that killing your neighbor is not not nothing to be celebrated. Like that's not good, and that it's so disheartening. It's so sad because we want to see a change, and we can't even do the simple thing that Gandhi said. Be the change that we wish to see in the world. We can't be the change, and then most of the time, my husband was talking about it with his mother yesterday. You want to go back into your community and uplift people and put people out, but the mindset is still trapped. The mindset is still trapped. Nobody's really free or mentally free because you've been in a cycle for so long that you even begin to think that the stuff that's actually pure nonsense actually makes sense to you. And when you talk to certain people and you're like, that made sense to you, like that was okay to you, it really is disturbing. Like I don't know how you feel about it, but that's how I feel when I talk to certain people.
Well, like I told people before, it's called growth. You know what I mean? And a lot of times people have a hard time growing because they're not used to being around winners. They're not used to being around crowds that speak and talk a different language. You know what I mean? So I see a lot of people that was down in a Montana of a 300. I mean, if you look at his vocabulary and the way he carries himself, he understands that it's a business that what you running when you doing the rap game. Like I say, when you doing the diss songs talking about dead people, you talking about a lot of people that's hurt out there, right? That lost a son or lost a daughter, and you just completely disrespecting them in that form. That's hurt people. That's gonna hurt somebody. Point blank. Period. And like I say, I seen D.L. Hughley talk about in different neighborhoods, you got whites killing whites. You got whites killing whites and you got blacks killing blacks. You know what I mean? In different communities, they kill one another. We understand that concept. But my whole thing is that we're not making change. I also believe that if it ain't Black Lives Matter, there need to be an organization that need to go to Chicago, you know what I mean, and try to organize something a little bit better, because I feel like the gun violence is still there, man. But like I say, I understand that there's a lot of hurt people in those communities, and everybody's seeking for change, and normally they just relocate. They don't really build in the community because it's so violent and so much anger and so much evilness that's in that community like that, man. But when I heard that these young guys was going all the way to California to G-check this guy for disrespecting FBG Duck, it was kind of crazy to me, man, because it's just more black on black crime going against our culture, man. It's sad to see this young man lose his life in broad daylight in a suburban neighborhood. I guess he was shopping with his friends or whatever, you know what I mean? And they said allegedly his gun jammed up when he was trying to use it or whatever, man. But like I say, man, my wife was talking about this the other day, man. People always say God called people back. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like a lot of time people just be sinning, point blank, period, man. I don't know if that was me and my mom or me and my wife talking about that, but she had a deep revelation about that.
About God calling people back.
Yeah. People sinning and then, I mean, I don't know if that was you and my mom. My mom was
It might
saying,
have been you and your mom, but give me the idea, and I might be able to talk about it. So, God calling them back from where they've been or to the
nah, she
community.
basically was saying like I can't remember if it was me and you or me and my mom. She was saying like people shooting and killing people, they doing that on their own action. You know what I mean? God ain't tell them to go kill nobody. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And people saying it when they died that God called them home or whatever, but it's really somebody doing something evil, because you're not supposed to kill people.
Oh, I get what you're saying from the sin perspective of thou shalt not kill. Well, I honestly believe that there's a lot of people who put people in heaven that may not have made it to heaven, and there's people who put people in hell that may not have went to hell. And I feel like that happens often because you want to believe certain things. However, when it comes to like the Bible and what the word says, there are certain things that God is not pleased with, and we don't know what people say in their last breath. I do believe there are certain people, just like the man who was hanging next to Jesus on the cross. On that day, he said he'll be with him in paradise. So he may have lived a whole sinful life and received salvation in those last moments. We have no idea if these kids or these young men were raised in church by their grandma, and as they're laying there taking their last breath, they say, Lord, forgive me. We don't know. But the truth of the matter is, if you go out and you do things with an intent to kill somebody, that's sinful. And God is not pleased with that. So if you don't get that moment to repent, then that's not God calling you home. I think a lot of times when it comes to certain like cultures, they've been accustomed or conditioned to think that that's the makeup of a soldier, and especially when soldiers these days often sacrifice their lives or the lives of others for the greater community. And it's unfortunate because what's happening in these neighborhoods or these inner city neighborhoods, they're teaching them to be soldiers, even though it's like maybe a soldier that's like attached to some type of affiliation, but it's not the same. I don't feel like it's the same thing. I do definitely honor all of our soldiers that are protecting the country, but I feel like in certain instances we have to look at the situation, and if it's just based on disrespect, I mean, people are disrespected every day. I'm not dialing it down, but there's got to be a better way of handling it. I mean, remember back in the days, you would go, you fight it out. People don't even fight no more. It's like you say something that somebody doesn't like, and they will end your life, and that is just not okay. You shouldn't have that much power to be able to do that. And I believe that, I truly believe in my heart that God is not pleased with that. So I personally feel like when you're looking at these kids that are looking up to you as role models, you need to be setting a better example for them. Just getting up there at the awards ceremony and saying you want to thank God is not enough. You know what I'm saying? You need to be showing a better example to these young people because they're idolizing you and they're making you heroes. And a hero, and this is what you're putting to the media. Come on now, we got to do better, man. I don't know if you agree, but that's
Well, yeah, I always believe that music and stuff like that can sometimes put you in a space. You know what I mean? Like I remember back in the days when you would hear Boosie set it off and you was at a party or anything, you was ready to fight. You know what I mean? Certain music would make you want to do things. And I could tell you, man, when you listen to that drill sound, it make you want to pop something. Point blank, period. And that's why I say sometimes pastors and people before will always say sometimes that stuff can be possessive. And it can be all the way, man, because it can put you in the mold in your mind. But like I say, people don't want to do things that heal the mind that much. You know what I mean? Or it's always drug dealing or gang banging or being high out your mind. You know what I mean? Because it's the feeling. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times what happens in the community is people struggling and going through so much pain. They just want to have that relief. You know what I mean? It's less like a kid or somebody playing Grand Theft Auto. They get to shoot people and not go to jail. They get to punch people on wrestling and not worry about the consequences that come with it. You know what I mean? That's why a lot of times they don't want kids playing those type of games because them not being mature to know that that's not reality and they go out and do those things. You know what I mean? But like I say, the music and all the things that they put the effort into to bringing those negative things around, people live those lives that they heard in music videos and stuff like that. From even back in the day when people used to listen to Pop and Biggie, you know what I mean? It all had a feeling to it that possessed people, you know what I mean? But what's your last words, baby? You know what I'm saying? You get your interview on.
he said my last words. Why you gotta be my last words? Nah, when I was doing either my master's degree, it was my master's degree, and we were talking about integrating technology and education, and one of the papers that I did was about how social media and video games influence children, or how they, the psychological perspective that it has on their mind. And I think about that often when I see my students. Like I had a student last year who was like sending messages like, I know where you live, I'm gonna come find you. Now for her, at her age, developmentally, she was doing that because she was angry with somebody. But then when I like literally let her know, you can go to jail for this, like there are consequences to these actions. It's all fun and games until somebody takes you seriously. That is not a joke. And a lot of times these kids are being exposed to music or games that are setting them up to have there is a psychological connection between aggression and video game aggression. And like he was just saying with the songs, Knock If You Buck, you was ready. You know what I'm saying? You was ready about to go in. And they were talking about how they were talking about, and when I did that paper, I just wanted to say really quickly, there were a lot of connections between what could possibly happen in the mind.